Hey guys, welcome back to today's video. Today is Thursday, October 1st, 2020, and today I'm going to be talking about Joe Biden's pathway to 400. Now, I made a video about this back in August, and roughly the same states will be used, but now, based off the FiveThirtyEight forecast, it could actually become a very real reality. Before, I would have had to move over states that previously weren't in the Joe Biden column back when I made that video. Now, almost all of the states that would attribute to Joe Biden getting close to 400 are considered to be in his column, according to FiveThirtyEight. And I actually was going to make a 2020 election prediction today. I'm going to wait until 30 days before the election just because I would like to do one exactly a month out. So that should be in roughly 3 days. I'll do a Senate election projection probably tomorrow. Today I want to cover another topic in the evening. So it'll all depend, but hopefully we will see a Senate projection tomorrow. But this video, I mean, this is not a prediction. So please don't try to, screenshot this, put it somewhere and say this is the LTE prediction, because it's not. This is just a hypothetical situation. And it is also what the Trump campaign may view as a very real reality if things don't end up going their way. So actually, I think that this FiveThirtyEight graphic gives a pretty good explanation as to how we could possibly get there. Now, if you're looking at this map, you're probably seeing, a number of blue maps versus a number of red maps. So this actually matches the chances of winning the presidency. Joe Biden today has an 80% chance at winning the presidency. Now, in tonight's video, you will see a number that is a lot higher than 80% for Joe Biden, but that's contingent on the national average remaining the same through Election Day. But that's not the main purpose of this video. Let's talk about how I got to 400 electoral votes. So I actually came prepared today, and we have an electoral map filled out based off of the characterizations of each individual state. And what I think was probably one of the more striking features of this map is that Abraham Lincoln from Minnesota down to Louisiana is all likely or lean for a specific candidate. I mean, it's fascinating to see Louisiana, to see Arkansas, to see Missouri considered to be likely Republican states, Iowa lean, and Minnesota likely for the Democrats. So in fact, the last time that this entire strip voted together was in 1996 under Bill Clinton. 1996. They're not all likely to vote together, but if Donald Trump was able to carry Minnesota, keep in mind Minnesota has the longest streak of voting for the Democratic Party as it stands today. Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana all could have been Trump states in 2016. Had he won them, it would be the first time that this entire strip, like I said, I call it Abe Lincoln because it looks like him, right? That's his top hat up here. Would have voted for the same party. But I think it's very interesting seeing a clear divide right in the middle of the country where all these states are likely or lean. No safe states. But that's not the main purpose of this map whatsoever. On your screen, you see Biden at 353 and Trump at 185. Where did I get these numbers? Well, I just said it, FiveThirtyEight and their forecast. So I'm using the ratings that I normally use. If you're a little confused about them, they're in my description box, but I'll outline them very briefly. Anywhere from 0.1 to 1 is tilt, from 1 to 5 is lean, 5 to 15 is likely, and anything 15 plus is safe. So we will see that Biden has 176 safe electoral votes. Donald Trump only has 62. So you can see why this map is already at a disadvantage for Donald Trump. For his likely states, there are states that were safe in 2016. Every single one of these likely states was considered safe 4 years ago, except for South Carolina and Alaska. Those were 14% margins, just narrowly under the safe margin. So that puts Trump at 63 more electoral votes, together 125. Now, the remaining 60 electoral votes is where we're going to be peeling these numbers and giving them to Joe Biden, because realistically, they could very well go that way. They're lean states. Hillary Clinton was up by lean margins in Michigan and Pennsylvania and still lost them. So a lean characterization doesn't mean that it's going to be obviously safe for either party. Now, this is not to say that Biden doesn't have states he could lose, but we're talking about a situation where Biden could reach 400, and it isn't too hard to imagine. Taking a look at the national forecast, we see this thing called a snake, a winding snake that goes from the most Democratic states to the most Republican states, or districts. Actually, they both end up on districts. District of Columbia and Nebraska's 3rd district. So pretty much we see, getting redder and redder as you move across this snake until we hit a point around Pennsylvania. Now, this is what is called a tipping point, meaning every single state past this point could go to the opposition party, and the party that was put over by Pennsylvania, or whatever the tipping point state was, would still win the election. So it looks like 530 is expecting Pennsylvania to be the tipping point state. It really all comes down to margins, but 20 electoral votes, it puts Biden over the top. So where is Biden getting these numbers past 270? Well, he's getting it from Nebraska's 2nd District. He's getting it from Arizona. He's getting it from Florida, which is a whopping 29 electoral votes, from Maine's 2nd District, from North Carolina, and now Ohio. That's big. I mean, Ohio just recently moved over. We can take a look at Ohio and how it's been expected to go in the past couple of months. Ever since July, Trump has been the favorite to win the state of Ohio. Ever since July. That expanded right after the RNC. And then now all of a sudden, it's gone down to a point where Biden is up in Ohio. So Ohio has moved over into the Democratic column, not by a large margin. It's possible Biden loses it, absolutely. But I will say that Ohio has voted correctly for the past 60 years, so it probably won't be red while the rest of the country is blue. But then again, weird things happen. This is 2020. There's a first time for everything, right? North Carolina just moved back into the Biden column as well. Actually, not really back, but I guess more solidly back in the Biden column. It's been going neck and neck, but Biden definitely had a much better position back in June and early July. But then again, the race was a little bit different. Biden was up by a larger margin at that point, 9-10% nationally. And then if we're looking at some other battleground states, I don't think it's surprising to see Arizona blue, Nebraska 2nd blue. Maine 2nd District actually threw me for a bit of a loop, but then again, it does sort of make sense. And then Florida could go either way, but right now Biden's the favorite. So where are these these remaining 50 electoral votes to put Biden over 353? Well, I think the first and most obvious one is Texas. But we're going to talk about Texas last. We'll talk about Georgia, actually, because Georgia is expected to be the closest one out of all of them. So Biden has a 43% chance at winning Georgia. That's not a bad chance whatsoever. Donald Trump had less of a chance of winning in 2016 than Biden does winning Georgia. And Georgia is a state that has gone for the Republican Party for quite some time now. The last time a Democrat won it was under Bill Clinton in 1992 in his first election. He didn't even carry it in his re-election bid. And Georgia has a very real possibility of going to the Democrats this time around. What we've seen in some of the recent data is that it's a neck-and-neck race. We've seen from the New York Times, an A-plus pollster, that it's tied. We've seen from UGA, we've seen from Data for Progress that it's tied. We've seen from Monmouth University that Trump's up by 4, and then Quinnipiac University releases one that has Biden up by 3. YouGov has Trump up by 1. Civics has Biden up by 3. So when we're looking at these numbers, they average out to being a slight Trump advantage, but still very, very close within a margin of error, which is exactly why Donald Trump is expected to carry it by just a little bit over a percentage point. So looking at these numbers, you can see that the chance of victory has gone down from at the beginning of this month being 70% for Donald Trump down to 57%. So Georgia could possibly move in favor of the Democratic Party. It could end up going to Joe Biden. And a 43% chance is nothing to laugh at. It's possible it goes blue. But that doesn't put Joe Biden quite at 400. The next state on the winding snake is Iowa. In fact, Iowa went to the right of Texas in 2016. Iowa went to Trump by 9.41%, nearly double digits. And if we're looking at the percent chance of, Joe Biden's victory here, it's not that large, but then again, it's higher than Trump's chance of winning the presidency 4 years ago. 37% chance for Joe Biden to carry the state of Iowa. And if we're looking at the margin, they actually haven't changed too much. It has narrowed down again from Donald Trump's peak at the beginning of the month, but it also is still going to probably end up going to President Trump. But then again, 37% chance is not too hard to see. That's a 1 in 3 chance of winning that state. Very reasonable, definitely within reach for Joe Biden. In fact, if we look at the data, like I said, even Biden plus 2, Trump plus 4, Biden plus 3, Trump plus 3, Trump plus 2, Trump plus 1, Biden plus 6. So when we look at a lot of this data, it's averaging out to be very close. Trump's slight advantage, but he did carry this state by 9%. I'd be alarmed for the Trump campaign if they were not leading in Iowa at this point. Ohio, for reference, went to Trump by 8% in 2016. I think some people are also alarmed that Ohio is not too solid for Donald Trump. In fact, it's in the Joe Biden column at this point. And moving to Iowa over, put Biden at 375. This is roughly near Obama's margin in 2016. So Biden is at, not 2016, Obama's margin in 2008. Biden's at 375. These remaining, 38 electoral votes that puts him at 413 comes solely from the state of Texas. And you will see why as well. Now, if you're new to watching my videos, or if you haven't been keeping up with the 2020 election cycle, and you're used to thinking Texas is a solid Republican state, I mean, you used to be right. That definitely was true if we were talking about the election in 2012. Then 2016 rolled around, and we saw something interesting happen. Texas voted to the left, not to the left, but it swung to the left compared to the rest of the country moving to the right. Arizona, Georgia, Texas, all of which voted less for the Republicans than they did in the past. In fact, Texas swung by around 7% statewide. 2 years later, in the 2018 Senate elections, Beto O'Rourke comes within 2% of winning the Senate race against Senator Ted Cruz. He's one of the most notable and memorable members of the Senate, and he almost lost just 2 years ago. And now, Donald Trump only has a 70% chance at winning Texas. And I am saying only a 70% chance at winning Texas, because if we take a look at Trump's chances at winning, let's take Michigan, for example. It's 13%. Biden has an 87% chance at winning Michigan. It went to Trump in 2016. Let's pick another state. Minnesota. Biden has an 89% chance of winning there. Let's pick a state that's expected to be the tipping point. Pennsylvania. Biden has a larger chance of winning Pennsylvania than Trump does at Texas. So when we take a look at Texas, it is going to be probably a close race. It has rapidly moved further and further leftward year after year after year after year. And now, Biden has roughly a 1 in 3 chance at winning Texas. Take a look at the data. Trump has been ahead, but if he's not leading by that large of a margin, it's not a good sign. This race was not supposed to be competitive. Texas was not supposed to be on the radar for the Democratic Party. It's comparable to California in terms of electoral presence. Yes, it has 17 less electoral votes, but it's the second largest electoral prize, and it used to be safe for the GOP. Romney won it by 16%. 16% reduced down to what is expected to be a 4-point victory, a 3.6% victory, if you're being specific. 3.6% 8 years ago was 16%, even against Obama, someone who was viewed as a monumental candidate, one in a generation, one in a lifetime. He won Indiana. He came close in North and South Dakota. A number of states were likely. West Virginia wasn't safe in his first election. 2012 rolls around. Sure, shifts to the right. He wins less electoral votes than the first time, but still demolishes Mitt Romney by over 100 electoral votes. But Texas remains for the GOP. In fact, moves to the right. And then 2014 rolls around. Democrats are hopeful for the governor's race, but it ends up being a red wave. Nothing actually ends up coming. As a result of it, John Cornyn easily wins. And now, what we see is that this race is shaping up to be probably one of the closer races. It's expected to be the third closest state that's expected to vote for Donald Trump. And you can see why the Republican Party should be very worried about it, because it is the final state in the lean column according to 538. And if this state goes, Biden is at 400 electoral votes. It's not too hard to see, because a 30% chance of winning a state is nothing to laugh at. Something could just go a little bit wrong for Donald Trump on election day. If the odds aren't in his favor, Texas ends up going to the Democrats. Now, it's unlikely that all of these states will vote in unison, but you see all of these likely Democratic states. Biden wins the election with just likely states, and these likely states probably won't change in the next month. So, take out the likely states. Well, Arizona could possibly go back. Florida could possibly go back. Some of these tilt states could possibly go back. But let's say Trump's able to hold on to Iowa. I mean, Iowa did vote to the right of Texas in 2016. I mentioned it every single time for a reason. Biden's still at 400. Let's say he carries Maine's 2nd district. Biden's still at 406. Now, he would need a larger electoral college state in order to ensure Biden doesn't hit 400, but a win is a win. And if Biden's at 398, or if he's at 380, that'll be a very large electoral college victory. In fact, that will be the largest, if it's 380, that will be the largest electoral college victory for a Democrat since LBJ. So keep that in mind. Joe Biden is on track to come very close, and it looks like he's well within striking distance of winning over 400 electoral votes, which should be very scary for the Republican Party. And I'm not just saying that because it's the month of Halloween. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to comment down suggestions below. Subscribe on the left if you haven't already, and check out the Instagram and Twitter. At the bottom left of the screen, there's also a Discord link for you to go ahead and join. On the screen, there's a video you can watch, and then a playlist for my 2020 election videos. Please consider joining as a member on my channel. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all later today.